Across the sweep of history, humanity has always sought to capture the essence of meaning. We build not only walls and temples, but monuments to belief, identity, and mortality to hold our fragile civilization together. This is not merely a story of stone and mortar. It's a story of people wrestling with chaos, reaching for order, and etching their values into the very fabric of time. From the highlands of Armenia to the Andes of Peru, from the deserts of Morocco to the gardens of Delhi and the heart of ancient China, each wonder of this video is another testament to the vision and devotion, to legacies born in moments when faith and ambition converge. Join me as we explore 5 more extraordinary structures, each a living echo of a world shaped by hope, loss, and the stubborn will to endure. This is Age of Histories. Let's swallow low. There are places in the world where belief stood for so long that the very ground seems to echo with faith. And in the Armenian highlands, in a city once called Vagar Shapat, one such place was struck into being with the erection of the Echmiadzin Cathedral, the first cathedral in the Christian world. Its origins trace back to 301 AD, when Armenia became the first kingdom to adopt Christianity as its state religion. According to tradition, Saint Gregory the Illuminator had a vision where Christ descended from heaven, struck the earth with a golden hammer, and declared, "Here the church shall be built." And so, with the backing of King Tiridates III, a humble wooden basilica rose, marking one of the first moments of when Christianity became a major player in the Game of Thrones. But like all things sacred, it did not remain untouched. The original structure, vulnerable to nature and conflict, was rebuilt in stone by 480 AD. This reconstruction, with its domed cruciform plan, became the architectural blueprint for Armenian churches for centuries to come. Later centuries brought further change. The bell towers were built during the 17th century, and the renovations in the 19th century as well as modern-day restoration cemented the cathedral as one of Christianity's oldest examples of a palimpsest, a layered record of devotion, war, survival, and renewal. Yet, through it all, Echmiadzin endures, not as a static monument but as a living center of Armenian spirituality, home to the heart of the Armenian Apostolic Church, and as a symbol of a people who chose to enshrine their newfound God in a temple to last the ages. Echmiadzin teaches us this, that what we build in faith may change in form, but not in essence. Time may alter the stone, but not its meaning. And when a people shape the world through vision and devotion, they leave behind not ruins, but a legacy. We typically think of unfinished things as failures, but sometimes what remains incomplete speaks louder than what is actually whole. In Rabat, Morocco, rising above the Bouragreg River, stands the Hassan Tower. Beyond simply a minaret, it's a monument to halted ambition. It was begun in 1195 AD by Yaqub al-Mansur, the powerful Almohad Caliph who ruled a vast empire stretching from the Libyan plains to the Spanish mountains. Inspired by the triumphs of his predecessors and the splendor of Islamic architecture, he envisioned a mosque to rival all others, a structure so grand, so immense, that it would declare the Almohads as both the sword and the spirit of Islam. The mosque's planned minaret, what we now call the Hassan Tower, was designed to rise 86 meters high, far taller than the Koutuba in Marrakesh or the Giralda in Seville, both built by the same dynasty. The mosque itself would have accommodated over 20,000 worshippers and would have dwarfed the Saracen wonder which we covered in a previous video. However, as the stone columns rose and the red sandstone tower slowly climbed, the Caliph died in 1199, and with him, so did the ambition for the project. Today, the Hassan Tower, which derives its name from its architect, Jabir ibn Aflah al-Hassan, stands as a national symbol of Morocco's historical depth, tied in spirit to the mausoleum of Mohammed V beside it, where Morocco's modern monarchy honors its dead. What remains today is only a fragment, a 44-meter high tower, unfinished walls and scattered columns. But these ruins are not silent. They speak of an immortal vision that was halted by mortality, of what it means to attempt something monumental, not for wealth, but for faith, unity, and ambition. It reminds us that even what is left undone can inspire, that intention, when bold enough, can still be heard, and that a civilization's greatness is not only measured by what it completes, but sometimes in what it even dared to imagine. I have always loved the AoE2 cutscenes, and some of them are simply works of art. So I'm excited to announce the AoH Histories Store, set up to celebrate some of the very best artworks from the campaigns, so you get to appreciate them wherever you are. Be it with hoodies or tees, our merch will allow you to embody the memories of some of the greatest characters, both men and women, that fill the pages of the campaigns. Yet my personal favorite are the mugs. Some will boost your morning coffee with tales of glory or defiance, others will calm your Earl Greys with stunning landscapes, whilst the screenshots from my other channel will keep you daydreaming until your next match. So go on, click the link below or follow the QR code on screen and grab your AoH of Histories merch, which by doing so you'll be directly supporting me in creating more amazing content for you. Now, back to the video. Human beings don't just bury their dead, they immortalize their ideals and how they remember them. And in Delhi, rising from carefully ordered gardens and red sandstone, Humayun's tomb stands as the first great architectural declaration of Mughal identity on Indian soil. Commissioned in 1565, about 9 years after the death of Emperor Humayun by his grieving widow Empress Bega Begum, also known as Haji Begum, the tomb was built for more than mourning. It was meant as a legacy, a woman shaping the memory of her husband and the destiny of a dynasty through stone, space, and symbols. Designed by Mirak Mirza Ghiyash, a Persian architect brought in from Herat, the tomb introduced Persian architectural principles such as the grand diwan, symmetrical layouts, and raised central domes to blend in with Indian craftsmanship. Set within a charbagh garden divided by water, channels, and pathways, the entire site was conceived as a vision of paradise on earth, all in accordance with Islamic cosmology. As grand as it is, the tomb itself became a blueprint for the Taj Mahal, one of the world's greatest mausoleums. Humayun's tomb also houses the remains of over 100 Mughal nobles. It served as a marker of the moment the Mughals began to root themselves not just as conquerors, but as cultural stewards of the subcontinent. And its survival through colonialism, neglect, and eventual restoration, it reminds us that memory, when shaped intentionally, can outlast death itself. Humayun's tomb isn't merely a mausoleum. It's a meditation on grief, love, power, and permanence. A queen's heartbreak, a lost king, and a burgeoning empire rising from the threshold of collapse. It whispers a truth we still need to hear today, that beauty is not a luxury, it is an anchor, a compass in the storm. High in the Andes, where mountains rise to kiss the clouds and rivers dive deep into valleys, lie the ruins of Machu Picchu, likely constructed in the mid-15th century during the reign of Pachacuti, the emperor who transformed the Inca from a regional power into an empire. As grand as it may seem to us today, Machu Picchu wasn't the capital city. That honor was given to Cusco. What it was a royal estate built atop a remote ridge nearly 2,400 meters above sea level and served as a ceremonial center and sacred retreat, all chosen with cosmic precision. For the site aligns with solstices, cardinal directions, and surrounding peaks that the Incas viewed as apus, living mountain spirits. This wasn't architecture as shelter, it was architecture as prayer. Stone by stone, they raised temples, terraces, and towers that merged with the land itself. The Temple of the Sun, the Intihuatana stone, and the Room of the Three Windows weren't just structures. They were instruments for observing the heavens, for honoring the sun, and for uniting the empire to the divine. But the Inca never got to finish their story. Not long after its founding, the wake of Spanish conquest washed ashore and drowned all in its path, from the coastal villages to the grand cities up in the mountains. Machu Picchu was left abandoned, its significance and its very name forgotten for centuries, until its rediscovery by the outside world in 1911 by Hiram Bingham. Today, Machu Picchu endures, not as a city of gold, but as a monument to vision of a people we barely understand. It reminds us that great powers can collapse in a heartbeat, and no matter how loud they proclaim themselves, sometimes the only thing that remains of power sits silently above the clouds, hoping not to be forgotten. Some legacies aren't carved with conquest. They're earned through wisdom, loyalty, and the burden of impossible decisions. In Chengdu, tucked among cypress trees and red walls, stands the Wuhou Shrine, a memorial not to emperors, but to a man who served them, Zhuge Liang, the Chancellor of Shu during China's turbulent Three Kingdoms era of the 3rd century AD. Originally constructed later in the 6th century during the northern and southern dynasties, the shrine was built to honor Zhuge Liang, known posthumously as Wu Huo. He wasn't born into power, but rose as a strategist, statesman, and bulwark of unwavering loyalty to Liu Bei, the founder of Shu Han. But this wasn't just a shrine to a man, it's a meditation on the Confucian virtues he embodied: wisdom, duty, restraint, and the refusal to abandon principle, even in the face of failure. Zhuge Liang didn't seek power, he shouldered it, and in doing so became more than a minister. He became a moral anchor for a crumbling world. Eventually, the shrine was expanded, rebuilt, and renovated over the subsequent 13 centuries, especially during the Ming and the Qing dynasties, becoming part of a larger complex that also houses the temple of Liu Bei, the warlord that he served. Together, these structures reflected a civilizational longing for a time when virtue helped guide power and not the other way around. Today, the Wuhou Shrine stands not as a relic of war, but as a cultural sanctuary, a place where school children and scholars alike come to trace the lines of duty and intellect, written not in blood, but in stone. Because some men don't need thrones to leave a legacy. They need clarity, they need a character, and when a civilization remembers such men, it remembers what it once valued, and what it might still become. And with those 5 civs, we have covered 30 of the 50 wonders we have in 2025, and I do wonder, which one was your favorite? If you enjoyed this journey through the real-world inspiration behind the AoE2 wonders, please do give this video a like, it truly helps immensely. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Age of History so you don't miss another dive into the structures, leaders, and events behind the great game we all love. There's so much more to explore, but goodbye for now, and thank you for watching.